You'll pick up a piece of raw salmon with your chopsticks without a second thought. Sashimi, poke, ceviche, no problem. But if I put a raw chicken breast on a plate in front of you right now and said, go ahead, eat it, you'd probably think I was trying to hurt you. Same basic idea, raw animal flesh. So why does one feel completely normal and the other feels like a genuinely bad idea? It's not just habit. There's real biology behind this. And once you understand it, you'll actually know how to eat raw fish safely and exactly why raw chicken should never be on that list. Picture a fish market in Tokyo at 5 in the morning. Tuna the size of a small car are being auctioned off, and within hours, thin slices of that same fish are sitting on someone's plate, completely raw. This isn't a recent trend. People in coastal Japan, Peru, Scandinavia, and the Pacific Islands have been eating raw fish for thousands of years. Meanwhile, in almost every culture on Earth, there's a deep, old rule about meat. Cook it first. Even the cultures that do eat raw beef, steak tartare in France, carpaccio in Italy, treat it as a special occasion dish, made from the freshest cut, by someone who knows exactly what they're doing. Raw chicken and raw pork basically don't exist as dishes in any culture, anywhere, ever. That's not a coincidence. That's generations of people learning some very hard lessons and passing the rule down. Let's start with the fear most people actually have about raw fish: parasites. And it's a real risk. A worm called Anisakis lives in the flesh of a lot of ocean fish, and eating infected fish raw and untreated can genuinely make you sick. But here's the part almost nobody knows. Freezing kills it. The FDA has an actual legal temperature and time requirement for fish meant to be served raw commercially, deep freezing it for a set period before it ever reaches a plate. That's the real meaning hiding behind the phrase sushi-grade. It's not really about freshness. Freshness matters too, but the freezing step is what makes the parasite risk basically disappear. The fish counter at a real sushi restaurant isn't gambling. Bacteria and muscle structure. Here's the part that actually explains why chicken is different, not just fish versus red meat. Chicken and pork carry organisms like Salmonella, Campylobacter, and historically Trichinella that live deep inside the tissue, not just on the surface. Beef is different. Most of the dangerous bacteria on a cut of beef live on the outside surface, not throughout the muscle. That's actually why steak tartare and carpaccio can exist. You're using a solid, intact piece of muscle, trimming or searing the outside, and eating an interior that was never exposed to bacteria in the first place. The moment that same beef gets ground into hamburger, all that surface bacteria gets dragged into the middle of the meat. That's exactly why a rare burger is dangerous, but a rare steak isn't. Chicken and pork don't get that same pass because their risky organisms aren't just sitting on the surface waiting to be seared off. Fish plays by a different rulebook entirely. Fish muscle has shorter fibers and far less connective tissue than land animal muscle, and it comes from a completely different bacterial environment. The organisms that make land meat dangerous largely evolved to survive at mammal body temperature. A fish living in cold ocean water is a much worse host for those same bacteria. The danger there is mainly that one parasite, and that's a risk we already know how to neutralize with freezing. What to actually do with this? First, raw fish is only as safe as its handling. Sushi grade isn't an official government grade. It's really a supply chain promise that the fish was frozen correctly and kept at safe temperatures from boat to plate. Buy raw fish only from a source that can tell you it was previously frozen for that purpose. A standard home freezer usually isn't cold enough to do this job yourself. Second, raw chicken and raw pork are never a safe experiment at any freshness level from any source. There's no freezing trick, no very fresh version, no sushi-grade chicken. Fully cooking is the only reliable answer for Salmonella, Campylobacter, and Trichinella. Third, if you want to try raw beef, The safety comes from a solid, never-ground cut of the freshest meat available, ideally prepared the day you buy it, with the outside trimmed or seared rather than ground. This isn't a myth, and it isn't just cultural taste. Raw fish and raw meat carry genuinely different biological risks, and each one has its own separate rulebook for making it safe. Know the rulebook, and you can make an informed choice instead of just going on instinct.